guys, it's Vanessa here and welcome back to my channel. So you may have noticed in my feed here lately, we have a new addition to the family. Beforehand, we just had a table, a sad little bookcase, and a huge mess. Messes like that tend to cause a lot of creative clutter in my mind. And I kind of wanted to go over three main things that I addressed when creating this space. So number one, when working with a small space, is find the space in your house that is underutilized. And for us, that was this breakfast nook area. So this area is shared by the kitchen, the dining room, and the living room. So I had to be mindful also when creating this space not to make it so large that the flow of the house got interrupted. Second thing was function. If you're working with a small space, you want to make sure that all of the things that you need are right at your fingertips. Knowing that something is nearby enough that my creative process is not going to be majorly interrupted was super important for me when designing this space. And then design. We all love design. But for me, this was a space that was open to the house, so it needed to communicate well with the rest of the house. So what has inspired me was start out with these bookcases. So I have two matching bookcases in the dining room. Since I do want to establish that the whole house isn't going to look like this, I did customize my bookshelves a little to hide my crafty stuff, because we all know we don't need to see everything. So my solution to that was for the open shelves to have the backing on the bookcase, and then for the part you won't see to cut that backing off and to create doors out of it. So you know me, I'm going to use those scraps, and I did, and I created doors out of them. They hide so much, and I'll kind of give you a look at that. The next thing I would encourage you, if you're working with an open space and a small space, is to know what your style is. So what are the things that you love? In my case, I love vintage finds, and I love reusing vintage things. I love having them all throughout my house. So I've kind of pulled a few things off of my crafty shelf. For instance, I have these thread spools, these vintage thread spools, and I'm using some to hold washi, because we all have a lot of washi, but I'm also using some to hold ribbon. So I've just loosely tied it on there so I can pull it off and get to whatever I need. Next is, don't laugh at me, it's a shoe tree, guys. So I love the mix of wood and metal, and you'll see that in my studio. But I found this shoe tree, and guys, it's the perfect little washi holder. So whatever washi you're currently reaching for, or whatever matches your space, just throw that down on your desk, and it provides function and inspiration for you. For my next find is an old bed spring. You can see these all the time in vintage stores. Well, I'm using it as my traveler's notebook file system. I also have one up here you can kind of see, and it holds some of my paintbrushes. So use what you love and make it work for your space. One, you're aesthetically going to already be in love with it. It's going to inspire you that way, but then you're putting it to work for your craft space, which is kind of fun and amazing. Let's get started on the tour. So here's just a look at the layout of my studio. This pegboard was inspired by Shauna Noel's pegboard in the Illustrated Faith studio, and I just used some carriage bolts to hold the shelves up. In this top basket here are some projects that I've worked on, along with some extra tools that I don't use often. The binder there holds extra stamps. Here's my little bed spring for my traveler's notebooks. And then in this basket, I hold my Bible, traveler's notebooks, and old Illustrated Faith devotionals, along with the paper pads and some of my ink crush inks. And then in this folder down here is some homeschool stuff. I've got my traveler's notebooks, Bible study book, and then this is an old fishing tackle box that I just keep extra goodies and my handmade modern paints in. That basket just makes it easy to access the things in the back. Down here I've got some extra paints. This tin holds my print and pray goodies, and this basket here just has whatever extra goodies it goes in that basket. Down below, I like to keep my loose leaf 12 by 12 paper sheets separate from my paper pads, so this works out nicely. It's easier for me to go through and grab what I want. Just real quickly, I'm going to show you the inside of the drawer just to kind of give you an idea of the size. So that is my Xyron sticker maker, and it's standing up and it fits perfectly in there. And then up here on the shelves, I've got several different vintage things just working to hold some of my favorite items. And then this little washi holder up here, I just picked up some hardware from Lowe's and kind of bent it and shaped it to fit around this dowel rod, so that way I could easily take this off and get whatever washi I need. In this bowl here, I have threads and twine. I've got my paint palettes back there. And then this is one of my favorite features. It's just some leather screwed into the pegboard, and it holds extra washi and fabric bits. And then this right here is it's actually a tea light that I picked up from the thrift store. So that candle holder is now my plant stand, and all about repurposing. So these little baskets are great for ephemera pieces. You can go in and stack those. Then I've also got this vintage binocular holder that I just nailed on there, and it holds my pens and scissors. Here's my DIY mood board. I love having things that inspire me right there in my line of sight. I have a tea can for my vintage fabrics, my memory decks, and then this little familiar beauty here holds all of my scrappy bits and pieces. And then down below, this top drawer, I just keep my most used tools in, and then in this little pouch are my favorite stamps that I use often, just right there off where I can get to it easily. And then this is some of my alphas. I just wanted to show you kind of how far back this drawer goes. Those are some of those really long alpha packs, and so you can see they fit in there really nicely. And then down below here, I just have a vintage crate that I use for my trash. That rug there is from Tuesday morning. And then in this basket, I hold a vintage enamel tin for the current project I'm working on. It just helps me keep it out of sight. I've got my vintage stamps and some more traveler's notebooks. And then in this little folder holds all my different types of papers. I've got my favorite yarn. This little basket from Tuesday morning holds different sized journaling cards, so I can just grab one and take it to the typewriter there. And then down below here, I have some IKEA bins. This one here holds my stamps. And then in this next one, it holds current projects that I work on, or items that I reach for often and like to use in projects. And then on this middle shelf, I have my 12 by 12 paper packs, my 12 by 12 chipboard pieces, and of course, my well-loved stencil here. And then down below is my illustrating Bible. And then this is my little container for other containers. So I just kind of separate it out based on designer or theme. And then in this basket, it's just extra notebooks, Bibles, traveler's notebooks, scripture reading plans, and so forth. And then down below is just where I keep extra pieces and goodies in case I need them or run out. And that's gonna do it. There's a little look at my Crafty studio. I hope this inspires you, and thanks for watching. So I have decided to put together a little process. This isn't a process video. And take two! Listen to me. You know me, I'm just weird like that.